and Messi gets his eighth Ballon d'Or.
So do you think it's a bit harsh on Haaland?
I suppose so. I mean, he had an extraordinary season, didn't he? But, you know, when you say the best footballer, I mean, Erling obviously won the award for the top goal scorer in...
Do you not see the obvious problem here? Right, so I've been hearing this for quite a while now, and despite never really agreeing with the assessment, for a long time I think I just subconsciously managed to convince myself that I was wrong, since the people saying these things weren't just fellow fans, but also professional footballers themselves. But you know what? Now, having given it more thought, I've come to the realization that, no joke, I am right, and these ex-pros are wrong. What I'm referring to is a debate I like to call footballer versus. So you know when you're comparing two players and at times get someone, usually a wise guy, bust the line, well, he's a great insert key attribute, but not a great footballer. For example, Haaland is a great goal scorer, but he's not a great footballer. De Gea was a great keeper, but not a great footballer. Campbell was a brilliant defender, but not the greatest footballer. Neville was the better defender, but Kyle Walker is the better footballer. I'm sorry, but what the fuck did you pop in your mouth for so much air to disperse? What do you think a footballer is? Someone who can just pass and dribble? No. The game of football consists of... I can't believe I'm having to explain this. The game of football consists of 11 interdependent players spread across 11 different areas of the pitch and are tasked to do pretty much 11 different jobs. And just because some jobs require less time and skill on the ball doesn't make a player assigned to such a position any less of a footballer than his teammates. And look, if this was merely an issue of semantics in cyberspats between two typically tactless and trying teenage tits with their testicles still touted together high up their trousers that are titanic and tough on the Twitter timeline, but when it's time to stand eye to eye and toe to toe to talk the talk turn terribly tranquil in trepidation, I probably would have just ignored it. But the fact that even people from the higher ups use this stupid argument to try and justify giving clearly the wrong person a prestigious individual accolade, fam, that's just not fair. And yes, obviously I'm referring to the Ballon d'Or. Sorry for misleading you by calling it prestigious. But I don't care, man. Yes, the award in the last couple of years may hold as much credibility as a Guillaume Balaguer report, but man, I actually love the concept of individual accolades in football. But this shit just fucks it up. So look, I already made a video on why Messi should have been nowhere near the podium this year. This isn't about that. And to be fair, if you're one of those who believe that Messi deserved the award because of the season he had, i.e. the World Cup and Ligue 1, while I do disagree with you, I can at least respect the premise of your argument. But then there are others. Those absolutely stupid people who make claims like this. What the fuck does that even mean? These guys are both footballers, but again, they are obliged to play different roles for their teams. And therefore, if you're gonna use this argument to put down Haaland when deciding who wins the Ballon d'Or in spite of the insane season he had with City, you do realize by your logic, no defender, centre forward or goalkeeper would ever be in contention to receive such individual accolades. You starting to realize how stupid this is now, or are you just stupid yourself? Cause my friends, that is not how you judge who's better between two players in completely different positions. This is how you judge. For example, if the two candidates were Messi and, I don't know, Aymeric Laporte, you look at who did their job better. Did Laporte defend from the front, play out from the back, make tackles at the right time, track his runners, and nail his positioning better than Messi, make the right passes, dribbled at the right time, and scored/assisted? And then factor in whose team was more successful as a result of the player's contribution. Wise words. And while that clip specifically focused on judging a Ballon d'Or winner over a season, this can be applied to cases where you may want to make historical comparisons too. For example, let's say you're trying to make a decision on who should rank higher in the list of the greatest footballers of all time between Paolo Maldini and Zinedine Zidane. Two players with completely different roles on the pitch, in completely different ends of the pitch, but both undoubtedly among the GOATs. So, if you wish to judge who the better player was, you see if Zizou dribble past players, make final passes, score important goals, produce moments of magic, and make his team's attacks tick better than Maldini, time his tackles, keep wingers at bay, win physical duels, organize his defense, and etc. And from there, you see whose contributions were more more vital to their teams and how successful their teams were as a result. And then, since this particular example is judged over a career and not a solitary season like the Ballon d'Or, you then look at who, out of Maldini and Zidane, was better at transferring those contributions to different teams, different systems, under different managers, and perhaps even across different eras. And basically, who was better at utilizing his individual attributes regardless of the circumstances that may have surrounded him. So in the case of Maldini and Zizou, the category concerned with who did their job better consistently and thus helped their teams be successful will have to go to the son of Cesare. He won a lot more during his career and was predominantly in defensively solid teams where more often than not he was the leader and organizer of the defense. On the other hand, as far as the category of who was able to transfer their performances to different teams in different setups and under different managers while still being successful, you'd go for Zizou. Not only did he win everywhere he went, but the level of his teammates or even opposition seemed to have little to no effect on his actual performances. But to claim that Maldini was any less of a footballer than Zidane because his job required him to have a different and far less fancied skill set, come on man, that's just stupid. Which is why I'm extra taken back when former pros like Gary Lineker spit this dross on a regular basis. And he doesn't just say it to put down Erling Haaland or the latter-day CR7 for example, but even him self. Like bro, there have been numerous times over the years where I heard this man make claims like, well, I was a great goal scorer, but not the greatest player. With all due respect, sir, what the f*** are you talking about? You were a brilliant player, one of England's greatest ever in fact. It just so happens that your role as a player didn't require you to dribble past 5 and smash one into the top corner. I mean, if you were able to do that, would that make your game more aesthetically pleasing? 100%. Would that make you more of a complete player? 100%. But would that make you a better footballer? No, because to be the best footballer you possibly can be, you do the job you are given to the highest possible standard to help your team. Because big man, this ain't a one-on-one case thing in Peckham or a video shoot with the fucking F2. This is 11-a-side professional football. And here, as long as they're doing their job consistently to a world-class level, even a right back should be able to be heralded as good of a footballer as a number 10. Yes, it's true. Like, okay, I admit it, I'm kinda extra worked up because this sort of horseshit was regularly used against my favourite player of all time in David Beckham. Oh, he's not a great player because he doesn't dribble past anyone. Fucking so what? In the era of English football he played in, pretty much the only reason wingers would dribble is that so they can create enough space to cross the ball. Becks was able to do that without fucking dribbling. So if you think about it, that would technically make him a better player since he was more efficient. You know, whatever man, fuck off. Here's another example anyway. So, in my humble opinion, Miroslav Klose is one of the greatest players in World Cup history. I dare you to disagree. Does he have the medal? Yes. Does he have the stats? Yes. Does he have the longevity? Yes. Would I rather watch an old slug fall on top of a young one and see who's first to die than observe his game for 90 minutes? Yes. But does that make him any less of a footballer? Absolutely not. And you know what? He's been a better footballer across World Cup tournaments than the likes of Rivaldo and Ronaldinho. Facts. And listen, I just used the poacher as an example there, but this probably applies even more to goalkeepers. Like, I remember seeing a podcast with Ben Foster and someone else claiming that goalkeepers aren't footballers. Aren't they That's probably the most important position on a football pitch. I don't care if you're dressed differently. You can walk in between the sticks wearing a Barney the Dinosaur costume for all I care. As long as you're keeping one of the goals on a football pitch, you are a footballer. And unless FIFA bring out a Ballon d'Or equivalent for goalkeepers like they do with the Golden Glove at World Cups, goalkeepers should also be judged as footballers and therefore have an equal chance as everyone else on a pitch of winning the Ballon d'Or or even be in GOAT conversations. Tell me when I'm telling lies. Also, I believe there is a little side argument saying that being a midfielder and dictating games is a lot harder than being a right back, for example. Tough shit. Being a soldier is a lot harder than anything you bunch of spanners do. You don't see them whining, do you? So again, do your job to the best possible standard or march your ass to right back and try and give consistent 8 out of 10 performances there. I would love to see that. Besides, there is also a very strong argument that goalkeeping and goal scoring are possibly the two toughest jobs on a pitch, but because they aren't able to do 20 kick-ups without falling over despite no one being around, or perhaps be talented in multiple facets of the game, they apparently aren't great footballers. Do you hear yourself? Like in the example of Klose, yes, he wasn't able to do the ridiculous things the likes of Ronaldinho could do with a ball, but do you think Ronaldinho would have had the spatial awareness, the ability to gamble on the trajectory of a cross, time his runs, or what I assume to be the most difficult part for him in this scenario, go huge chunks of games without touching the ball, and still have the patience to keep a cool head and continue doing his job? Not a chance. You see, Dino needed someone like Klose in his team to make his own performances mean something. Someone like Etu, for example, or a post-2000 R9, cause they're all a part of a team. Ergo, the best footballer is the one who does their job the best for their team. You finally get where I'm going with this? Now this may make some of you adopt the line of thinking, so if there's a footballer who's able to do multiple jobs, would that make him more eligible for an individual accolade or even GOAT status? For example, someone like Messi who can both score and create, someone like a prime CR7 who can function as a poacher and a winger, or even someone like Steven Gerrard who had a bit of everything. Well, again, no. Being able to do more than one job makes you the more complete footballer, not the better footballer. Cause as I said, the better footballer is the one who does whatever job the manager he's playing under has assigned him to do, and in turn helps his team achieve or at least strive towards success. And while it's undoubtedly a positive to have someone like Messi on your team who can get both goals and assists, there are also a lot of downsides to this too. Example, due to his role on the ball being pretty meaty, Messi also loses the ball significantly more often than any other player in any team he's in. Similarly, due to Stevie G being an all-action midfielder, he was also more prone to making high-profile errors, cue the slips, back passes and own goals. And who is there to swipe up when Messi loses the ball 200 times a half? His teammates. Cause yes, no matter how big of a role a player has, unless he's keeping, picking the ball up from goal and shooting every single time, he is just as much member of a team as those around him. And while having more to your game can certainly play a part in strengthening your claim of being a better footballer than someone more one-dimensional, actually prioritizing being a more complete footballer over who has done the role assigned to them to a higher standard when judging who the better footballer is, come on man, that's just ignorance. Cause at the end of the day, team success is what ultimately matters. Unless there's a situation where it's pretty clear that one player is doing his job the best he can, while the rest of his teammates just aren't pushing their weight. Unfortunately that happens. And in that scenario, that one player still deserves his plaudits. It's not his fault that his teammates are turd. And yes, this is all very tough to judge. It's all opinions of course. But as far as being a more complete player equating to being a better player, in my opinion, the only players who can use the argument of being more complete to justify them being the best are players who have an entire team built around them, and that team becomes the best team around. For example, Ronaldo in 2008. But it's no coincidence that as football evolves and moves on with the times, the concept of building a team around one star player is slowly becoming extinct. Cause as much as that one player may improve the team in ways X, Y and Z, they'll also be a detriment in ways A, B, C and perhaps even D. And that doesn't make them a better footballer in my eyes. And unless a team has a player who is clearly on a different level to the rest, constructing a team that is equally reliant on each of the 11 members of the system, as much as possible anyway, gives a manager a significantly higher chance of being successful. And for me, the best footballer of those 11 is one, regardless of their job description, does their job to the highest standard. However, I've said it before and I'll say it again. If your argument is that wingers and number 10s are better footballers because you enjoy watching them more than anyone else, then your argument is 160% legit. Football, much like any other form of entertainment, is all about what you get out of it. If you enjoy watching Friends over How I Met Your Mother, then you'll obviously feel that it's the better show. If vice versa, then obviously are a weird person. No offense. But yeah, this also applies to sports, and by extension this also applies to football. And one more time, there is nothing wrong with that line of thinking whatsoever. But yeah, logically trying to justify it is fucking stupid. And that is that. Agree or disagree beats indifference. Once again, don't forget to like, comment and share, and of course, subscribe. Till next time, keep rolling.